YouTube, on my screen. Who is the best commentator we've ever seen or heard? Hello, it's Mark here. How are you? Well, with a bit of hiatus in the England cricket team's activities, I thought what we'd do is have a look at some of the commentators. And I've got for you a top 5 of who I think are the best commentators. My criteria isn't really obvious, even to me, but please it is your YouTube cricket forum, so please comment on who your favourite commentators are, and most of all, subscribe as we build the numbers to do live cricket phone-ins. So basically, I've just jotted down a bunch of names of commentators that stick out in my mind, and then also I've done the top 5. Okay, so let's have a look. Mark Nicholas. He's been on TV a lot. He's been on TalkSport quite a bit recently as well. The reason I like Mark Nicholas is that he's a little bit different. I mean, he's very nicely spoken. He's extremely knowledgeable about the game. And I find that he comes up with some, he's almost like the intellectual. He comes up with the odd idea that no one else seems to come up with. So I'm really liking Mark Nicholas. I like his perspectives. He seems to come from left field once in a while, and I like that. Who else? Michael Vaughan, former England captain. He obviously had a lot of guile and savvy when he was England captain. And he's not afraid to speak his mind. Doesn't mind making the odd headline, probably just for the sake of making an odd headline sometimes. But I do think that Michael Vaughan always adds just that element of authenticity when it comes to any kind of cricket commentary. He's been there, he's done it. He beat the Aussies, so I'm liking the arrival on a cricket commentary platform of Michael Vaughan. Graham Swann worked all over the place, hasn't he? I particularly liked him on the BBC on TMS though. Graham Swann's very funny. He's just like the sort of lad you probably wanted to know at high school. You know, he was coming out with all the jokes, and he's pretty unassuming. But I'm thinking Graham Swann is one of the better commentators as well. And he adds a little bit of Morecambe to the wise of someone like Jonathan Agnew. And talking of Jonathan Agnew, yeah, he's a cricket commentator. And he's very knowledgeable, isn't he? And but he's kind of like the straight man on TMS. Very knowledgeable, done some good view from the boundary interviews. We're liking Jonathan Agnew as well. But does he make the top 5? The next 2 I'm lumping in together. I'm sure they'd appreciate that from me. And that is Andrew Strauss and Aleister Cook. Absolutely wonderful, excellent captains and batsmen of the English side. They obviously know what they're talking about, but they don't jump out at you like Graham Swann does. So, appreciate them, respect them, but I'm not sure if they're heading for the top 5. Kate Cross, I've been hearing on TalkSport a little bit. Good northern lady. And she clearly knows what she's talking about. And she's been involved with the cricket game for a long time. And, likes to get stuck in there as far as the commentary goes. Comes up with good original ideas. She doesn't just reflect other people's ideas. She comes up with her own thoughts. Really like that. Isha Guha. Really like Isha's voice. And she's clearly very knowledgeable about cricket. The only thing, she talks about curry too much. She goes on and on and on. And there was one time, I sometimes listen to cricket commentary while I'm on my treadmill. And, for about half an hour, they were talking about flipping curries. I like curries, but I listen to cricket commentaries to find out about cricket. Think she's great, but don't want to hear about curry all that much. Ian Botham. He's clearly, he's been there because he's a superhero, knows what the game's about, knows what he's talking about, and he's a decent commentator as well. Ebony Rainford Brent, I've talked about Ebony before. Years ago, when Ebony first started, she used to be so anti-North. I haven't heard her say anything anti-North for a while, but I remember once she was commentating from Edgbaston for T20 Finals Day, and I think all 4 of the teams were from the Midlands or North. And she made some comment along the lines of, well, I don't do the North. That's really disrespectful. However, I've warmed to Ebony over the years. She, again, knows quite a lot about the technical part of the game, and I think has grown into a cricketer who commentates rather than the commentator who used to play cricket. Rob Key, again, when Rob Key first started, I found him a bit wooden, but now I think he's pretty good. I think he adds his expertise at the same time as coming out with quite a bit of humour. So I'm liking him. Nasser Hussain, who could knock poor old Naz? Well, everyone does, and that's why I like him. You know, he really does seem to be the butt of everybody's jokes, but he doesn't mind. He takes it in such good spirit, and you can't help wondering, when they all go home, is he actually sitting in a room on his own, or actually are all his cricket mates ringing up and saying, hey, Naz, you coming out for a curry? Isha's making us a curry. So you don't know, do you? But he's clearly a consummate professional as well. And you know, a lot of these people like Naz and David Gower, Ian Botham, made great TV cricket commentators. Okay, so it's time for the top 5 cricket commentators of all time. At number 5, it's Geoffrey Boycott. I have to say, I mean, he's a Yorkshire man, and he's probably about the same age as my parents. And my mum was from Yorkshire, and they always loved Geoffrey Boycott. He's just a typical Yorkshire guy, isn't he? But you know, he's been there. He's scored 100 hundreds. He knows what it's all about. Even though his jokes are somewhat repetitive, talking about my mum could have hit that with a stick of rhubarb, it's funny. I don't know why. It's like the settee scene on the beginning of The Simpsons. Somehow it's funny and gets funnier every time you do it. So he's my number 5. At number 4, it's Michael Atherton. I think Michael Atherton really adds an element or a kind of perspective of intelligence. Listen, cricket's a game for intelligent people. You have to be fairly bright to understand it for a start. But Michael Atherton, I don't know, maybe it's because he went to Manchester Grammar, whereas I went to King Edward's in Birmingham, which are very similar schools. I just relate to him very well, really. And he clearly knows what he's talking about, but he's become an absolutely excellent broadcaster. Not all good sportsmen make excellent broadcasters. For example, I mean, you know, Andrew Strauss and Aleister Cook, they're good, but they're not excellent like Michael Atherton has become. At number 3, Alison Mitchell. As far as I recall, the first female cricket commentator in the UK. I think there's a bunch over in Australia, but Alison Mitchell was a bit of a trailblazer as far as that's concerned. But what a nice voice she has, and it's really great to hear her intelligence, her experience, her enthusiasm for the game. Her interplay with Graham Swann was always funny. Alison Mitchell makes my number 3. At number 2, humour is really important. I remember I used to have headphones in the back of the car with a transistor radio when we were coming home to Birmingham from Yorkshire to see my mum's parents, and I'd be listening to it. And the best moments for me, even at a very young age, maybe 10 or whatever, were the moments of what they used to describe as levity. And I love the levity. I think it's wonderful. And Phil Tufnell, I don't know how he does it. He does it with very, very few words. He is the funniest guy on the circuit, but again, knows his stuff. And the number 1 position goes to Bumble. It's not just because he's up here in Manchester, but Bumble is one of the most experienced cricketers. But, you know, he's older than most of the commentators, but doesn't sound old. But he's so down to earth, he's knowledgeable. You know, he knows what he's talking about. And when Bumble comes on, it just puts a smile on my face. I don't know why. He's just become like the, the grandfather of cricket in the UK as far as I'm concerned. And he makes my number 1 spot. Listen, my list isn't exhaustive. Even the people I mentioned before, I mean, I've not mentioned people like who sadly passed away, like John Arlott and Bob Willis, also both brilliant commentators. It's just a list. But I'd love to know what you have to say about your favourite commentators. Put them down in the comments box below, and please subscribe to the channel as we get nearer to that first cricket phone-in. Catch you soon.